Felix Ndahinda joins me live from Tilburg, Netherlands. He's a researcher and analyst on the Great Lakes region. Great to have you here with us on TRT World. So you just heard Prosper there confirming that the M23 is still very much in control of the city of Uvira. And of course, this development comes after the announcement of withdrawal by M23 rebels. And they say this withdrawal was happening on the request of the United States. So it makes me wonder, was the M23 trying to deceive the international community?
I guess the communication was quite clear of the intention to withdraw rather than like an immediate withdrawal. So in a sense, I'm not quite sure whether we would talk about deceiving. If you read their communique in its entirety, it's clear that they did indeed, as your respondent in Uvira said, they did lay down some of the conditions. For anyone who has been looking at the dynamics of the conflict in Uvira area, by the way, in Uvira territory as a whole, predates even the dynamics in North Kivu, even the emergence of M23. And there is, of course, a strong Burundian involvement. So there are many factors to look at before you talk about really implementing that announcement. They did make an announcement. They did lay down the conditions. And I expect that one expects more talks around that before you can see actually an actual withdrawal, because otherwise it would be abandoning basically Uvira to any other force to capture it again.
And clearly the ones who are paying the heaviest price for the ongoing conflict are the civilians. Tens of thousands, close to 80,000 civilians had to flee to Burundi. And as we were talking there with Prosper, the conditions that they're living under are dire, to say the least. That's something that has been confirmed by many officials on the ground. So who is to blame for their plight?
Really, multiple actors. Fighting in the DRC has been really a product of many factors coalescing in the management of the security in the DRC, but also the governance issues that have always been present in the DRC over the last more than 30 years, if you will. The cycles of conflicts in the DRC have to do with unresolved issues over the years, including inclusive governance, especially particularly in that particular province of South Kivu. Now, the plight of civilians is absolutely deplorable. All civilians from all communities have suffered from the cycles of wars in the DRC, particularly in Uvira, which has been the launchpin for many years, including the very first Congo wars of the 90s. So, but much has boiled down really to inclusive governance that has been always problematic in the DRC. Narratives on identity. Recently, Uvira was in the news for refusal to receive a general from the Banyamulenge Tutsi community who was and had lived in that city for many years before even he became soldier. He grew up in that city, but he was refused to be deployed there because of, that's just a few weeks ago, for being of doubtful nationality. So many of such issues, and the war in the highlands of Uvira territory, in the Kaololo, Mulenge, Rurambo area, places that have been, has been raging since 2017. The M23 emerged only in 2021. So that is something that is often lost in the big, expertise on the DRC. But if one needs to resolve the issues, really, as I have always repeatedly argued, you need to look at all of those source causes that have informed previous episodes of war, but also this current one, which has to do with both inclusive governance, but also the acceptance of all citizens of the DRC by the DRC and the equal protection before the law.
What role do you think the U.S. can play right now?
Steer the parties really to do what I just said, which is really to bring about a settlement that looks at the deep-seated issues of inclusive governance and security for all, and issues of belonging, but also many of the things that happen. You have many refugees in many parts of the neighboring parts of the DRC, in Burundi, in Rwanda, in Tanzania, from the DRC, from different successive episodes of war, who need to return to their places and be protected and allowed to live decent lives. Unless the U.S. is able to broker some settlement that brings about that situation, it's very difficult to imagine a situation where only pressures will bring about change. There might be pressures, and they may bring certain given outcomes in a short run, but that does not guarantee any recurrence of conflict, prevent any recurrence of conflict. Unless the things are dealt with in their depth, there is a difficult to imagine that there will be lasting peace in that part of the world, of the DRC.
All right, Felix Ndahinda, thanks very much for joining me here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.